One of the more obscure parts of the Devil May Cry canon would actually be the animated series, Devil May Cry the Animated Series, or DMCTAS for short. That was a joke. But yeah, I did say canon, as the anime for Devil May Cry, released in 2007 in between Devil May Cry 3 and Devil May Cry 4, is canon to the series. There would be no reason for it not to be when it came out, but DMC5 confirmed that the anime takes place between the events of Devil May Cry 1 and Devil May Cry 2. Fitting, as DMC2 basically is just a lackluster filler arc of a show, and it takes place right after the anime, so yeah, how about that? If you heard there was going to be an anime for Devil May Cry, as a fan you'd probably be pretty excited. I mean, anime is known for its fast-paced and high-energy action, and Devil May Cry 3 raised the bar for how to do action in video game cutscenes. When hopping into the show, if an animated version of those kinds of cutscenes is what you'd expect, you'll probably be let down, because I would really not call this an action show. It's much more of a character-based slice-of-life setup. We follow Dante in his day-to-day life as he handles cases that are of far less significance than the ones he does in the games. I don't mind this at all. It took a while for me to get through this whole show the first time around. It's a really slow-paced series, all things considered, but for this video I watched the whole thing in 2 sittings and really enjoyed my time with it. If you were expecting this 12-episode series to get the JLU treatment, well, I'm sorry to disappoint you again, because I don't really think that's necessary. And I don't really plan on making every episode reviewed type content ever again. It just took way too much out of me to make. But the DCAU retrospective evolved into that style in BTAS Volume 2, and I was determined to see it through. Anyway, back to Devil May Cry. Dante finds himself looking after a young girl named Patty Lowell, an orphan that's now in the possession of a large inheritance and was also the target of a demon attack. This being the girl who made a hilarious cameo in Devil May Cry 5. For this show to work in the format it's presented in, the character interaction needs to work, and I think that's the best part of the show, which is why I think it's a good watch, all things considered. This show featured my favorite interaction between Dante and Lady to date. I like how they're friends, but pretend as if they don't like each other, as Dante owes Lady an uncountable amount of money, and the way she continuously screws him over is always entertaining.
And I sent him the bill. You did? What a coincidence.
What? They what? I don't have any money now.
Well, I need to be paid.
I can't give you any money if I don't have it. There we go. I was waiting to hear from you. Oh, about the money. You added it to my debt?
Well, naturally, I'll just deduct it from what you owe me.
Just a goddamn... Shit, that woman.
You're the most unlucky guy I've ever met, you know that?
Shut up.
Right there was a good example of characters interacting. Dante acts like a detached asshole, but he's a kind-hearted guy at the end of the day. I mean, he hangs out with Patty even if he doesn't actually have to, and despite never having any money, Dante still takes jobs that just help people out because he cares. Like how he gets himself arrested in Mission 7 with the intent to solve a case of a guy being locked in maximum security prison for murdering his friend, all because of the client's plight and the remote suspicion that a demon is behind it. I like how this series shows off the world Dante inhabits on a smaller scale than the games. When you play Devil May Cry 1, you can see that the DMC shop is located in some kind of modern city, but the game took place inside the demonic castle on Malay Island. Going into Devil May Cry 2, the game could take place just about anywhere after DMC 1. It did come as a bit of a jolt to hear Mathieu say that the villain of the game was the CEO of an international corporation, but the game still took place in the remote area of Vita Marley. DMC 3 started out in Dante's neighborhood, but of course spent the overwhelming majority of its runtime in the Temini Group. Fortuna had a wonderfully fantastical visual style in DMC 4, and then DMC 5 took place in more contemporary settings before heading to the Clyfod itself. In this show, we see that yeah, Dante's city is a normal place with apartments, bars, restaurants, and stores, and all Dante wants is pizza, beer, and strawberry sundaes. Hashtag relatable. It just so happens that threats from the demon world are common. That's the one thing I wonder about though, like just how common is that? Dante being a devil hunter is apparently a secret. Lady didn't believe the legend of Sparta until DMC 3, but demons can be summoned to the human world in a variety of ways in this show. Maybe that started when Virgil summoned the Demon Tower in DMC 3, but still, just something to think about. With Dante dealing with all kinds of different cases in every episode, I'd actually say they did a pretty good job keeping the variety high. As the first episode introduces Dante to Patty, episode 2 shows Dante and Lady dealing with some guys on the highway.
If you ask me, your brother getting killed racing others around is dumb enough, but you're dumber than he is.
Episode 3 focuses on the love between a lower-class demon and a human. The fourth episode introduces Trish, and while she doesn't do much in the show, she does get to know Lady and also establishes that some time has passed between DMC 1 and now. I guess that's how the name of the shop got changed back from Devil's Never Cry to Devil May Cry. But of course, I have no idea how the Devil May Cry office went from looking like this, to this, back to this, back to this, and then to this. Episode 5 deals with this guy stalking Dante to see what he's all about. 6 tells the story of a rock queen who got possessed by a demon. The 7th is that prison episode I mentioned. The 8th features a guy from Dante's past, back when he was known as Tony Redgrave. An episode I thought was pretty cool, as up to this point, the series wasn't really about Dante as a character much, but here we get to see that he's pretty committed to letting go of parts of his past like that, and deals with conflict like a pro. Episode 9 focuses on a gambling ship where Dante plays a deadly game of poker with a demon on the loose, one of my favorites for the distinct setting and tense atmosphere. Episode 10 introduces a swordsman trained by Sparta who's come to the human world to challenge Dante, only to be defeated quickly like all the rest.
Looks like my father's sword work isn't that great.
Then episodes 11 and 12 are the two-part finale where the background demon, Sid, who has been pulling the strings the whole show, has his plan finally set in motion and takes the power of a demon called Abigail, who rivals the power of Mundus and Argisax the Chaos.
And jackpot.
So as you can see, it's a pretty diverse roster of episodes, while also having every episode follow a very similar formula. Inciting incident, Dante lives in a society, Dante gets a job, and then the back half of the episode is said job. Dante gets jobs from Morrison, who was brought back in DMC5, but of course, I am going there. Morrison in DMC5 was black, despite having been white in DMC TAS. I find that to be a bizarre choice. Now, Devil May Cry is well overdue for a more diverse cast, as the good guys have barely any people of color aligned with them, with Trish disguised as Gloria being one of the weirdest things about DMC4 for me, and that's a game with this in it, but I just leave it at that. If someone knows why they changed Morrison's skin color between entries when it's supposed to be a nod to the show, feel free to let me know. The strangest part is the controversy with Morrison's English actor in DMC5, Joey Kamen, who apparently had videos that came off as racist and transphobic on his YouTube page. I only say apparently because I didn't watch them myself, I just read the article. But the point is, they changed the race of Morrison while keeping the Japanese actor, Solid Snake himself, the same, but then changed it in DMC5 to another white man who has this under his belt. Like, do background checks not exist? Do we need a guy to do an impression of what black people are supposed to sound like when countless black actors exist?
I expected nothing less.
It's a shame, because I actually enjoy Morrison a lot in DMC5, but that definitely stains it. I wanted to bring this up in the DMC5 review, but I thought it would be a bit of a pace breaker for that video, so I decided to save it for this one. As for the other main character, Patty could get annoying in theory, but I think her interactions with Dante is pretty endearing, and that part where she tries to save him from the demon world in the last episode always pulls on my heartstrings. In fact, the music in this show really does it for me. Even if its surrounding characters don't really matter like Missions 3 and 8, I just think the emotional tracks are really bringing their A-game. The intro music is perfect for Devil May Cry, as it sounds all epic and bombastic with a really sorrowful undertone that is Dante's character to a T. When I heard people mention something about a depression theory for Dante in DMC2, I wasn't really sure what to make of it. Obviously that wasn't the intention with that game, but after I watched this show for the first time I definitely bought into it more. This show is Dante in his regular day-to-day. He beats up demons that pose no threat to him whatsoever because by this point Dante is nearly all-powerful, while also having seen his brother die twice in the past by this point as he's left without his father, his mother, and his brother. Dante is still the great character we know from the games, just going through more mundane scenarios, which is why I think that would be a great way to characterize him in a DMC2 remake, to really just nail the idea that life is getting boring for him until he meets Nero in Devil May Cry 4. Every single episode except the last two ends with Dante in the DMC shop as the sun sets, drinking alcohol as he seemingly laments Patty, Trish, and Lady not being around him. He actually enjoys their company, even if he pretends he doesn't, which leaves him lonely. Perfectly synced with the song I'll Be Your Home, which always triggers an emotional response from me. But at the end of the day, that pretty much covers how I feel about the show. Not much for me to add to the conversation. I think the animation is good enough, although it can look weird at times, and I never liked how obvious the no faces are in high definition. And the action scenes might be disappointing if that's what you wanted from the show, but once I got past that, I just enjoyed seeing one of my favorite game characters, Dante, in more adventures. Devil May Cry does not have the best storytelling in gaming, but I really enjoyed Dante and his world, his friends, his enemies, and all that. And for that reason, I perfectly enjoyed watching this series. Now, the only thing missing from my Devil May Cry experience are all these books. Are these good? Are they easy to find and read in English? Let me know, because I love reading Sonic and DCU comics to get more time with the characters we love. And so the DMC comics are right up that alley. Which is also exactly the appeal for the show. Not the greatest show I've ever seen, but I enjoyed my 2 viewings of it, and I'm sure I'll come back to it at some point. Having said that, the next Devil May Cry topic I want to talk about is Playable Virgil, but we are of course going to have to wait for that DLC to drop, so in the meantime, take care of yourselves, folks.